Excellent.
Okay, there we are. Good morning.
Okay, good
Forgive
morning.
my
Let me,
disheveled
let me
appearance.
I want to go into the Proverbs, verse 27. And here's where I it caught my attention this morning and I went, wow, this is what I have been saying for years. I
Okay.
just had forgotten this verse was here and
Yeah.
I had not understood it in the way that I understand things. Do not withhold good from those to whom it is due,
Hmm.
when it is in the power of your hand to do so. Do not say to your neighbor, go and come back, and tomorrow I will give it when you have it with you.
Hmm.
And I looked at that this morning and I said, this is what I have believed and been saying for a long time. This is God telling us how to be, but that's because that's who He is.
Yeah.
And so God literally is telling us that when He has the ability to do something that we need, that for Him to withhold it would be sin. It would be error. It would be wrong. I mean,
Right.
that's what He's saying, isn't He? He's telling
Yeah.
us that if we have it within our ability to do something to help somebody and we don't do it, He's saying that's a no-no.
Yeah.
You do it. If you
Yeah.
can do it, you do it. Well, if God is telling us if we can do it to help somebody and we don't do it, that's error, which means that if God has the ability to do something to help us and He doesn't do it, it's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you understand it the way that campus organization used to tell me, which is what a lot of people believe, that God is other than us. So when He tells us something, commands us, whatever He says in His Word, they would tell me, I heard him preach it, that is what God has for you, but God doesn't have to obey His own word. They
Right.
literally said that. God doesn't
Right.
have to obey His own word. They didn't like
Right.
that question being addressed, but when I would address it, they would say that no, God
Yeah.
can do whatever He wants and He doesn't have to do what He tells you. And
Right.
it's like that never made sense to me, but that's what they said. Do
Right.
they still say it? I don't know. I have nothing to do with that organization. Haven't
Right.
had in decades. So I've had this question in my mind. Um, why am I not seeing God do what He says that He would do and is telling us we should do? When I read this morning and I thought about it, I realized that this is telling me that, first of all, if God has said that should do whatever He's capable of doing
Hmm.
and hasn't done it, it cannot be that He has not done it because He's not a liar. He's not a trickster.
Right.
So He's telling me that not only should I, but that He is committed to doing for us what we need done when we need done it and not withholding it.
Yeah.
And that to me is wonderful, but it tells me that there's something I am missing because God has done, otherwise, He's a liar.
Yeah.
He has done everything that we need done, that I need done
Yeah.
for my life to be okay, my
Yeah.
life to be good, my life to be right. He
Yeah.
has done it, but I don't see it, but He has done it.
Yeah.
That's a massive question.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here looking at it and I'm thinking, okay, Father, what am I missing? Because it's just as simple as I need to learn some things that I don't even know what I need to learn, but
Hmm.
I need to learn some things that will enable me to see what you have already done.
Yeah.
For instance, He has saved us. He said it's finished on the cross. Our salvation is complete, yet I don't see it. I see something else. normal evangelical attitude is, well, that's because it's spiritual, and one day you will, when you die, then you'll see the things that God promised. I don't like that. That is I think that's a cop out, and it does not address what God said. And so I'm looking at it and I'm saying this morning to God, I need to know some things. And I don't know what it is I need to know, but the fact is, you said in these very passages that I should get, and other passages in the same book, that I should get wisdom and I should get knowledge and I should get understanding. So you're not withholding those from me, but I need them. And I need them in a way that it answers these questions for me so that I can enjoy what you say you have already done. So I'm looking at um, I'm looking at a realities, and I'm looking at that there's a reality available to me and all of us that God has said is available to us and that He literally has given us. And I want to enjoy that reality because some of the realities that I enjoy in this life are not very pleasant.
Yeah.
And so you've said that you've done it for me, Father. I want to take what you have given me so that I can see it and live it and stop living some of these realities that are not so pleasant.
I think the big takeaway for right now, not that there's a bunch, but you said, yeah, God tells us if you have it in the power to do something, then you should do it. And then people are like, but he doesn't. So that is so insane and illogical. I mean, yeah, if it's a crazy person, if it's a evil, terrible person, and I guess people think that's who God is he's an evil liar who tricks them and tells us to do something that he doesn't do himself, or we can just any number of things. I mean, I've heard it from people that, yeah, they think he's out to get them. They think he's, yeah,
I
they
did.
think he's a
I
liar.
thought that for actually for decades.
Yeah, and it's like he doesn't exist, but if he does, he's awful too. There's all these weird people get angry at God but don't believe he's there. It's just this screwy, backwards, confusing, and they're making do because they'll look at the world and see bad stuff. What we're talking about,
Yeah.
right? They'll
Yeah.
look around
Yeah.
and say, if okay, I heard once that that Jesus died for our sins and fixed everything, and nothing is fixed, so he's a liar. That's
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
boom. Bottom line, I can't trust a word he says. And now I'm going to start finding other ways to prove that he's a liar and think of him as a liar and not like him because he's a liar or a trickster or just messed up and mean and cruel, and
Yeah.
get people to, and what's the thing people used to say, a narcissist, and
Yes.
needs,
Oh, oh
people
man,
would
I could
say,
go off on that one.
oh geez, they'd say he wants us to worship him, and he's so insecure that
He
he
needs his back
needs
scratched.
our worship. Yeah. And they just believe all that stuff and hate him for it, and rightly so. You would.
Yeah.
Somebody who's, I mean, that's an abusive, awful person who does these lies to you, treats you terrible, and then expects you to thank them for it, and you know
Oh,
uh, bow
oh,
to
that
them. And
hurts. That
oh
hurts.
goodness. And that's who people think he is, and it's so gosh, it's we'll have to dig into how we kind of shift that perspective, because I had that perspective, and I was like, okay, I think that
Wow.
about him, but I guess I'm not quite right. Like, or there must be some good stuff about him, because there's all these churches and there's all these people who love him and say that he loves them. But yeah, boy, so I'll be in trouble if I don't read my Bible, or if I don't like the a certain part of church because I think it's boring or doesn't make sense, or so I guess I got to be careful, you know.
Yeah.
um, and and I did think that, and I remember hearing people say it and agreeing with it, even though I didn't want to agree with it. That yeah, he was insecure or something. Like we gotta,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
requires our worship
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
because
To
it
make him
feeds his
feel good. Yeah.
ego. and to and now my perspective is absolutely not that. He's a dad, and dads love you and they're happy when you love them back, but that's not why they do what they do. That's not,
Yeah.
that has doesn't play into it. You don't feed a baby because they have earned it. You
Yeah.
feed a baby because you love them and they just are that. And you do everything for a baby because they need it and you want to give it to them. And that's who God is. And but yeah, we you're right. What you called about was him saying, you all ought to give stuff to each other. And he would only do stuff that he would he would only tell us to do stuff that he would do himself.
Yeah.
Um so yeah, where what are we missing here? You
Wow.
know?
I love the way you said all that.
Oh, well, thanks. Yeah, and some people's answer is, well, then he's not good. But then, but me and you, and a lot of people, I do think he is good and know he is good. And so we are looking for that explanation or understanding so that that all makes sense, because it does get confusing sometime. Just
Yeah.
but it's just like a kid looking at their the thing I always said was, when I don't let my kids eat all their candy on Halloween night, they think I'm a bad dad.
Yeah.
But I know I'm not, and I know that I'm doing the best thing for them. I'm said this is going to hurt you, it's going to make you sick, you're going to regret it, and I have to take 90% of the candy away and let them eat a few pieces and go, you can have more of this later, because if you
Yeah.
eat this entire bag of candy, it's not going to go well for you. But they say he's taking something good from me. He doesn't like me. He thinks I don't deserve it. He just all these things that a kid, you know, that's because they want the
You,
candy. Well, I want that candy, and you're taking it away, and so you're bad.
you know
And we have that.
the thing, what you're bringing out there though is an argument. Even though what you're saying is reasonable and right, that argument can be twisted and is twisted all the time.
Yeah.
So that I've heard people say that it's God's will for you to suffer.
Right.
It's God because it's for your benefit, because
Right.
he's teaching you something. So he lets you get sick, he lets you get mauled, he lets you
Right.
get destroyed because he's trying to teach you something. And
Right.
that's not what you're saying, but
No.
that's how that argument is twisted
Yeah.
to, you know,
It
um,
is. It is. You're 100% right, and that's a good catch, and it's a good yes. Yeah, and that's a hard, and people think that and feel it and see it and believe it. And it's a devastating, hurtful thing to feel, and I've felt it, you've felt it. We
yeah,
God, why this isn't nice of you to do to me. I think you probably are nice. So what is this all about?
what's going on? What's going on?
Yeah, and people, yeah, they either say, well, it's because he's terrible, or he's good, but you got to learn something that sucks, and he's got to put you through the ringer and stuff. Um, but yeah, no, I don't think either of those are quite right. The first one definitely not right. The second one is off a bit because I think, there was a time my son, when my wife and I divorced, he was very hurt and very frustrated, and he
Yeah.
went to see her, and then um, his mom did or said something that made him feel very, very unseen and unimportant and crazy. And I picked him up from her house, and I was driving him home, and we talked, and I told him, she's not right. She doesn't know quite what she's talking about here, but how can you fault somebody for not knowing something, kind of, right? And by
Right.
the end of the drive, he felt a lot better, and I realized there's a verse that says, oh my gosh, I'll butcher it. Romans 5:3, 4,
Oh
or maybe
yeah.
James.
Romans 5. Yeah.
Not only so this is NIV, it says, not only so, but we also glory in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance character, and character hope. Now, all those words, depending on, I'm sure that those are probably not the greatest translations of those
It
words, or
That's the standard translation for that, and it's
right.
not correct, but it's what
Yeah,
everybody believes it is. So
right.
let's work with it as it is.
As is, I saw that something hard happened to my son, and he looked at it, and he felt things about it, and he persevered. And
Yeah.
then when he persevered, his character rose to the surface, and he was
Yeah.
gracious and kind and patient and forgiving. And
Yeah.
that was character, and then that character led him to hope, and he said, I can get through these things. I don't have to be captive to the things that my mom thinks about me that aren't true, or
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I saw that process play out, and I mention it because God, like we said, I don't think that God causes bad stuff to happen, or allows it so that we get beat up or something. However, there is something about a growth process
Yes.
that I don't fully
Mm.
understand, and I would love your take. But I mean, riding a bicycle,
Yeah.
that's hard. Kids get on the bike, they fall, they cry, I don't know how to do it, they can't get their feet right, they can't get their balance right, but they try again, and they try again, and they try again, and then they get a couple of yards on their own, and then you get an Olympic cyclist down the road, because built that character of it, and then there's this hope of,
Yes.
I can do
Yes.
whatever, and they just take it and fly. And so I think that there is a connection there of, there is still trouble. There are hard things, but they're not because God doesn't care or like us. And so I don't know how to tie it all together, where, because I don't think he causes it, but it does happen, and things can happen good from them. But go ahead, please. What were you?
Well, I mean, what you're talking about is an area that we've touched on here and there,
Yeah,
and whether we talk privately or on uh, this
on camera.
system.
Yeah,
Um, there, you're moving into the realm, discussion of realities,
yeah,
which I've talked about.
yeah,
Um, reality. You got reality TV. You got all this stuff
yeah,
that's supposed to be real,
yeah,
and reality TV is fake, but
yeah,
it's interesting and it's fun, and
yeah,
so you take it there. But
yeah,
um, we are created, and I hate to use that term, so maybe I won't. we were born out of God inside Christ.
Hmm.
And we are as he is, so are we, according to John.
Yeah.
And so we are creators, and we can't not create. We can't stop. We're always creating stuff.
Hmm.
And that's a whole subject in itself. But the fact is that um, part of our creating is creating realities. And the realities that we create, first of all, are up here.
Yeah.
That's where everything comes from, up here. We
Hmm.
can't create something if we don't do it up here first.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what happens is that, and this is an area that I see it, I can't unsee it. I see myself creating all the time. I
Mhm.
see other people, I see them creating. And oftentimes what they're creating is stupid. It's not real, and yet it's real to them.
Yeah.
And so they live like what they've created is real to them, when we know where where are they getting this from? What's going on? Because they've got an image in their mind or something that's not true, but they're living like it's true. And so that's just a little tidbit into that we are the fact that God is not apparently doing things that he promised to do. Um, that's up in our heads,
Yeah.
and it's causing
Yes.
us to see and not see what is real.
Yeah.
And we're living like, there are times when we're living, God says this, and we're living like that because that is what we see. That's what we expect. That's what we believe. And so it causes us to question what God's up to, because our reality is completely different from what God says our reality is.
Yeah.
What do we do about that? Because you can't deny that God says this, and if we are going to say that God can't lie and God is true, and what He says is true, and when we say that what He says is true, the word "true" means real. So
Yeah.
what He says is real, and yet what I'm experiencing, well, God would say it's not real,
Right.
because he says, this is my reality. And I'm arguing with him, no, this is my reality. And I want you to fix my reality so
Mhm.
that it could be what you say it should be. And God
Right.
says, I can't say it should be. It already is.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if it already is, how do I reconcile that?
Yeah.
Because I don't like this reality over here that I
Right.
see and feel, and that other people can even see and feel sometimes. I don't like this, and you promised a different reality, and you're reneging, God, and you're telling me that I've got a reality that I know I don't have.
Yeah.
And so what do we do, Father? um, that's a good place to go, to that discussion with God, to be that honest with God and say, God, it appears to me that you're either, I've got to come up with a new explanation for what you say,
Right.
or
Uh-huh.
you are just not being honest with me, and I don't know why you would do that.
Yeah.
And you see, I mean, it's a confusing issue,
Yeah.
but really, when you finally see what I've seen, it's it's no longer a confusing issue. I know that I am inside Christ.
Yeah.
My reality thus has to be inside Christ,
Yeah.
and the reality that I am experiencing, that is not good.
Yeah.
There's something going on to this gets. I don't know what to do, because I'm experiencing a reality that God says is not my reality. My real reality is inside Christ,
Yeah.
where everything is perfect,
Yeah.
everything is wonderful, where I am healed, I am whole, I am
Yeah.
complete,
Yeah.
and I'm Abba, I need help. What's going on? What don't I know what and it's not that. That's the wrong way to say it, because as I've told you and we've talked often, we know everything that God wants us to know,
Yeah.
which is everything.
Yeah.
We know it, but while we know it, we also are knowing things that aren't true.
Bunch of
And so
crap.
it's like that thing that I've talked about so often. You can believe something that you'll espouse, you believe it,
Yeah.
yet simultaneously you'll be believing the exact opposite.
Yeah.
So we can believe, we do believe, and yet at the same time, we are often believing something that contradicts what we believe, which
Yeah.
leaves us confused.
Right.
Um, Happens to all of us. Nobody can escape that. I shouldn't say nobody can escape it. We can escape it. We just have to unlearn the things that we know or that we are knowing that are inconsistent with what we really know in our heart.
And
And this opens up a discussion that we're going to go on for a long time.
I know
But
we'll keep going, but if I can, before we wrap, because I've got to
yeah,
do a few things, but to tie that to, I think that ties perfectly to Brady, my son, in
yeah,
that little story of him with his mom,
yeah,
um, how he was experiencing a very, very bad reality. He believed what his mom said. It threw him into chaos. She said, because we'd split, and it wasn't that. I don't think she was like blaming him. No, she wasn't blaming him, but she was kind of blaming him for not seeing that she was right about the things she was deciding, and he knew that something wasn't right because he was being put out as a son, and losing this love that he thought he had, and she was kind of just making him feel nuts. He was feeling nuts from it, and he unpacked that and unfolded it and saw that it wasn't true, and saw that what God said about him was true. And this was in very short order. This is like 20 minutes that
wow,
he cried, he hurt, he felt confusion, and he just talked about it, and he was telling me it, and I said, yeah, and I get you, and I see, and that's not right, that would she would say this or that, and he um got to where he said, yeah, that's just I have to like forgive her because she doesn't know what I'm thinking and feeling and what I need, and how I can, and she can't give it right now or whatever. And he walked out of that lie and into the truth, and he was fine. Like, it hurt, it made him sad,
yeah,
it affected him in some ways, it probably
yeah,
built some new unfortunate beliefs, yet it also unveiled some truth
yeah,
about that reality that she's painting of me and for me isn't reality. What God says about me is reality,
wow,
and
how
how
cool,
he loves me and treats me and sees me is reality. And it's
wow,
a process.
yes,
It can be, it's like we've talked about a dozen times. And I think that's, I mean, I don't know if that's quite the answer because we still haven't touched on your cataracts or my, messed up shoulder or what.
yeah,
There's these physical realities, but they're just, I really feel like just seeing that kind of mental reality when somebody thinks something and we recognize it's not true and we can kind of walk out of it. I think that's a good start
yeah,
for experiencing more and more and seeing, the physical realities and how they're different than what we take in too.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
wow. Good discussion this morning.
Yeah, good stuff always, man.
I think this discussion is critical because people are going to listen to it and know I've been thinking some of the same stuff, but nobody ever talks about it.
Yeah, I loved that verse. I loved that you brought that out, and I loved that it made me think of, yeah, God, wouldn't tell us to do stuff that he himself doesn't think or do. And
Right.
people look and think that he doesn't. They think he's lying or whatever. But I don't think he is. I think a lot of people don't think he is. I think they want to believe him on the
Yeah.
stuff. And that's just such a wonderful reminder that if he says, if you can do something for somebody, then do it. We can only logically infer that he couldn't say that unless that's how he thought and what he's like.
So what we can take from this is not that there's a bunch of hooey going on, but just that we can learn some things we don't know yet, or
Yeah.
we're not knowing. There's things that we have yet to learn
Yeah.
that will enable us to see what God sees.
Yeah.